Hey guys, today is the day and it's go time.
You're watching the Israel Guys.
Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of fake news, you should connect to the true and authentic stories of Israel. I'm Luke Hilton here with Joshua Waller, and we're super excited because today is the official launch of the Israel Guys.
That's right.
Josh, yesterday this channel was called the Joshua and Caleb Network, so if you're used to that, if you're a subscriber, don't go away because this is the exact same channel, only better, bigger, more content.
Expanded version.
Yes, we're ready to just go into new horizons. So, if it's your first time watching, or if you've watched before but you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit subscribe because now is the perfect time to do that. I'm going to tell you about some amazing brand new content that we're planning. It's going to be different than what you've experienced in the past, but it's going to be so much better. So hang tight. Josh, look at these awesome mugs that we got.
Yeah,
yours is actually cooler than mine even. But the only way you can get this mug right here, right now, is if you join us as a Patreon member at patreon.com/the Israel Guys, link in the description below. And that's what helps us create more content on this channel. We don't make any money from the show. It's 100% free. We want to get the content out to you guys, and joining us as a Patreon member or at our brand new website, theisraelguys.com, is the perfect way to do that. And you can get an awesome Israel Guys mug because we're not the only Israel Guys. You guys are Israel Guys. You might be Israel girls, but that's how we identify, right? We are the Israel Guys, and that's
Luke,
what
can I
this
just say that real quick? You know what,
is all about.
In a world where people are getting, you know, anti-Semitism's growing, there's like this Jew hatred thing that's really raising its head around the world. That's really what I feel like the change is for me. I don't want there to be any doubt. We're the Israel Guys. Don't worry. Everything coming out of here, it's just completely, just straight up Israel. We're not ashamed of that. And we want to say that right in our name. We're the Israel Guys, and that's what we're all about.
Right. And we want to start a movement where millions of people all over the world identify as Israel Guys. You know, a lot of people are identifying as things lately. Well, we decided it was time to identify for something amazing. It's biblical, it's positive, it's the truth, and it's where you should be standing. So we identify as the Israel Guys, and you should too. And the way you can do that is just go ahead and subscribe down below. Okay, a couple really important things. The Israel Guys are now on almost every single social media platform. I'm talking about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Parler, MeWe, and we're not on TikTok.
No.
But if you guys make like a really big storm in the comments, we might get on TikTok. I don't know if I'll ever get Josh on TikTok, but we'll see. But you need to go and make sure you go to all our social media platforms. It's just the Israel Guys across the internet, everywhere. You can find us right there at the Israel Guys. Make sure you follow us everywhere, all the social media platforms that you're on. The content on this YouTube channel is now going to be 2 videos every single week. Every Thursday, we're going to have a short news from Israel, the latest news, as always, filtered through our Zionist biblical lens.
That's right.
And every Monday, we're going to have a Mythbusters or similar type of video. Those are things like busting myths like we've done in the past, like photos you've never seen from Gaza, or busting a fake Palestinian riot, or maybe we're going to go into a Palestinian village and show you what life is actually like here on the ground, stuff like that. Those are on Mondays, and across our social media platforms, we're going to have even more videos, short videos. Everywhere we're going to go, we're going to capture it and show it to you guys and bring you the truth and the facts of what's actually happening. We call it boots on the ground here in Israel. So you guys definitely want to subscribe everywhere across the internet, including at theisraelguys.com. Important for podcast listeners. If you prefer the podcast platform, only the news shows on Thursdays will be on the podcast platform, and we'll have that at podcast version for you. So if you want to get all of our content, you need to also make sure you go to YouTube and also social media.
Luke, we also want people to reach out with questions and thoughts. If you guys out there, if you've got ideas of show topics or things that you would want to know about, things about Israel that you're like, I really don't know what the answer is to this. Hey, that's what we're here for.
Yep.
We're your boots on the ground, like Luke just said, and we want to be able to get that information to you. So put it in the comments, send us emails, however you want to reach out to us on any one of our platforms.
Yeah, easy way
reach out,
is
let us
just
know.
at theisraelguys.com. You can leave us a review, write us an email, and we will get back to you. And we like to rattle those down. So if there's a myth that you've heard and you don't know if it's a myth or not and you want us to bust it, send it in to us. We'll put it on the list because we're going to be producing a lot of content just like this. Before we get into a little bit of news of the day, we just filmed our most ambitious project to date.
Yeah.
I don't think we should give away the location, but you might remember our viral video where we went into 2 Palestinian villages. Let's just say this video is a little bit like that, only a little bit even more ambitious. We filmed it this past week. We're going to have it coming out in just a couple weeks, but we're going to show you a 20-second clip from there, and then you can guess where the video was filmed at and guess what it's all about. Let us know in the comments below. Let's watch that 20-second clip right now. So we're actually at the entrance of, but we don't have any permits to get in, so they made up a story that we're guests of the nephew of the high priest of the Samaritans. It sounds like they might be a little bit leery. And as we mentioned, that video will be releasing in about 2 weeks. So again, subscribe. You need to do it. Josh, couple items from the news of the day, and that is the United States is pressuring Israel to reopen the Palestinian Consulate in Jerusalem.
Who would have guessed?
The one that Trump shut down.
Right. Which is actually almost, well, hopefully soon would be illegal. But that's big news on the dock. Literally, you have the undermining everything that the Trump administration tried to do. Or did. They now want to come in and undermine the idea that Jerusalem was an undivided capital to the Jewish state, that it could actually be 2 capitals, one for their Palestinian state and one for the Jewish state. So, sorry, folks, it's a Jewish capital of the Jewish state. How are you going to divide that into 2? So
U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, he visited Israel a couple months ago, and he announced that they were looking into reopening the Palestinian diplomatic mission or consulate. The issue, Naftali Bennett, Israel's new prime minister, is set to visit President Biden in, I believe, this month. Yeah, here in a couple weeks. And they're thinking that's going to be a big topic when he goes to visit him. Very sensitive issue. And Nir Barkat, who is the very well-known former mayor of Jerusalem, who's now a member of Knesset in the Likud party, which is Netanyahu's party, has got a law in draft form that he's hoping to bring to the Knesset. Probably doesn't have any chance of passing, but it would basically, his law would basically ban a country from opening a diplomatic mission in Jerusalem that serves a foreign political entity. Now, if you just think about that for a second, why would you need a law that says a foreign country can't open a consulate or an embassy or a diplomatic mission in your country to serve a foreign political entity? Does that even make sense?
That doesn't make sense. I don't think that's a law anywhere else in the
world.
world.
You shouldn't need a law like that, okay? But unfortunately, they do here in Israel. And as you said, the United States pressuring Israel more and more to go back. You know, a lot of the things. Trump is very well known as one of the most pro-Israel presidents in history. And unfortunately, the current U.S. administration is working to reverse that.
Bring it back to Obama days and even beyond. Luke, we also have the Middle East is heating up right now. We have with Iran, obviously, there's major concerns with Iran. But Iran and its proxies, I would say, we have Lebanon is also heating up a bit with Hezbollah in charge over there. Iran is responsible for an attack on an Israeli, at least, managed vessel. And that just happened. And also another where they actually bombed that ship, and they also tried another ship. So that's just in the last 2 weeks. And also the Hezbollah in Lebanon, basically an arm of Iranian regime, is sent 20 rockets into Israel in the last 2 weeks. So things are majorly heating up. Here's the rundown. The Iron Dome took out 10 of them, 6 fell in open areas, and the rest fell. I tell you what, they're just about as good as aims as the Gazans. The rest fell actually in Lebanon. Right. Whoops. What? Whoops. Oops. That's pretty bad off.
Try again.
But here's a sobering fact. Supposed fact. Recent estimates, I should say, not a fact, an estimate, is that Hezbollah in Lebanon is armed with an arsenal of 140,000 rockets of different accuracies. So that's quite a few rockets. So
they might be just testing the waters right now.
Yeah, and I would say that's exactly true. And we'll get to a little bit of the issue in just a second. According to the new Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, Israel, this is a quote, he says, Israel will not accept shooting into its territory. Okay. That's what he says.
That's a good, strong statement.
It's a good, strong statement. Now,
Unfortunately,
Mordecai Kedar.
There's a little bit of an elephant in the room.
Exactly. Mordecai Kedar is a senior expert on Middle Eastern issues, very well known in the region here. He says this, quote, "The situation is very tricky and may escalate into a much larger confrontation between Israel and the Hezbollah." Again, Hezbollah, basically an arm of the Iranian regime.
Right.
Here's the official. Okay, so we have what Bennett said. We won't accept this shooting into our territory, right? Rockets into our territory. But this is the current statement from the government. The current statement is that the government has decided not to launch any major military action against Iran or its proxies.
Could I ask, just wonder why?
Why? Okay, so here's the big problem. Let's outline
Because
it.
Bennett just said, we're not going to accept
gonna allow
shooting
it.
into our territories. But, oh, wait, the government can't take action. I wonder
Yeah, exactly.
why.
Well, and hey, look, this is actually going to do what we just talked about a minute ago, the embassy in Jerusalem. Like, literally, here's how razor thin and, like, unstable the government really is. Basically, it goes down to two parties. There's two parties. It's the Meretz Party and the Ra'am Party, the United Arab List. They're leftist parties. Not only leftist parties, the Ra'am Party is an anti-Zionist, anti-Jewish party, anti-Israel party that is actually in the government.
Right.
And since the government is such a razor-thin government,
Well, they're in the coalition. They're part of the governing coalition.
that if Bennett and his right-wing tendencies, I would say, to say rockets should not fall on Israel, that's like a right-wing tendency, unfortunately, that he would say that this shouldn't happen, the Ra'am Party says no. Because I hate Israel, and Israel should be destroyed, and the Israel is actually the home of the Arab Palestinian country. They want to get a new state, right? And so he says that this is what should happen. Therefore, boom, the coalition falls apart. Ra'am pulls out. Bennett's not the prime minister anymore. You cause a havoc. And I tell you what, this is crazy times. And I just want everybody to realize, if you're a praying person out there, pray for Israel. Because literally, right now we have Iran going crazy. We have the proxies going crazy. We have crazy, just huge issues on the global stage right now, especially right here in the Middle East, with a government in Israel that its hands are literally tied by a member of the party, the coalition, that is extremely anti-Israel and would actually side with the motives and the agendas of an Iranian regime.
Right.
Which means if Israel needs to retaliate, they're unable to retaliate because the government fails, and Israel is without a prime minister and a government in wartime. That is a serious situation.
So basically what it comes down to is you have a very strong prime minister that wants to keep Israel safe, wants to respond if something happens, but he's constantly doing a juggling, balancing act of being threatened to have his entire governing coalition fall apart, because anytime the Ra'am Party or even the Meretz Party, which is like the most liberal party in Israel, don't like something, they just say, hey, if you do that, or if you don't do that, we're just going to make the government fall apart. That's actually how the Knesset works here in Israel, sometimes unfortunately. But that's what the prime minister has to deal with right now. So a lot of people are speculating, how long is this government going to actually hold together?
All that in, I'm sure that the Meretz and Ra'am parties are not in the security cabinet. So the security cabinet is obviously getting away with little things. We're talking about major things the government will pull out. For instance, the Iranian ship just caught fire in Syria.
Mysteriously.
How? Nope. I mean, literally, there's not information out there, but you could just guess. It's the same thing. Like, oh wow, one of the nuclear reactors all of a sudden caught fire.
Right.
How'd that? Okay. Like literally, Israel is working underground.
Let's put it this way: Iran is not going to attack Israel and not expect any kind of retaliation. Let's just say you mess with Israel, something's going to happen.
Something's going to happen. Okay? And we just pray that the government doesn't get in the way of that with this Ra'am party.
Right.
That's the only real situation that could cause a lot of trouble here. Luke, moving on.
In the meantime, I came up with the, you'll have to let me know if you like this in the comments below, the Hate Israel Award of the Week. What do you think?
That something you could actually award? I don't know. I think it's
I'm going to have to come up with a
maybe the Hate Israel roll. Bash.
I'm going to have to come up with a drum roll for next time.
Yeah.
Because the award for this week goes to, and I'm pretty sure we easily find one every week.
Yeah.
The winner is the Palestinian Authority. Because as Palestinian Media Watch has documented, the PA, led by Fatah, let's just go ahead and say it, they're a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
The Palestinian government is run by Fatah. Competes with Hamas over who is doing more for the Palestinian cause, in particular. Who is resisting the most by carrying out more terror attacks against Israel. They actually have them on quote about this. But just recently, the Fatah Central Committee Secretary, Jibril Rajoub, bragged at a recent rally that 12% of the imprisoned Palestinian terrorists are from the PA security forces. I'm actually, we didn't tell people where we went recently, but
we got to talk to a lot of PA
I'm kind of
officers.
glad I didn't know that before we got to talk to quite a few Palestinian Authority officers.
I think that would have made that conversation different.
So here you go. The government that is ruling the Palestinians, that is trying to create a Palestinian state, that is negotiating with the rest of the world for a state of Palestine, is bragging that 12% of the terrorists in Israeli prisons are from their own
security force.
Basically, police force.
Yeah.
Their own policing force in the Palestinian Authority. That's not good. A columnist in the official PA Daily similarly praised the PA security forces early this month, stressing their participation in their terror against Israel. Quote, the members of the PA security forces are the heroes of the self-sacrificing movement. They're the ones who struggled with their bare bodies, their willpower, and their courage in the Al-Aqsa Intifada in the years 2000 through 2005. That's just a partial quote. There's more if you want to check out the source in the link in the description below. According to Palestinian Media Watch, you have Fatah just bragging that they do just as much as Hamas in their fight against Israel, meaning terrorism. And when Mahmoud Abbas talks about things like popular uprising or peaceful uprising, he is directly referring to, and again, check out my link in the description below, directly referring to actual killings of Jews and Israelis. Actual terrorist attacks. No one, quote, no one killed more Israelis than Fatah. Fatah has more prisoners and martyrs than Hamas. Imagine that. Fatah has killed 11,000 Israelis. So, the, what are we calling it? The bash, or the award of the week, the Hate Israel Award of the Week, bash of the week goes to the Palestinian Authority. They are not a partner for peace. They are not a candidate for a Palestinian state. Not a candidate to live in peace with Israel whatsoever. 100%. Stop right there.
Just to put an exclamation point on that, be sure and watch our show whenever it comes out, the Adventure Show next week and the week after. That'll be an exclamation point for sure. We'll
Josh,
leave
we have
that
to
for that.
end on some good news, and that is that we have a new online store, and it's all at theisraelguys.com. We have our own T-shirts.
Yeah.
We've got stickers, and we're working on new products as we speak. Let us know what you're interested to see and what you would like to purchase.
What hats are coming.
But you can purchase
Lots of
it
good stuff.
at, right now, we have T-shirts at theisraelguys.com. So you have to go check it out. We think you guys are going to like it. Make sure to subscribe. Let us know what you think. Please share this with all of your friends and family because we need to get this official launch of the Israel Guys channel out to the wide world. As always, guys, tune out the fake news and the negativity and tune into what is actually happening here in Israel, right here at the Israel Guys.